Welcome to the Ask Better Questions podcast. My name is Jan Hesters. I'm the CTO of React Squad. And today we are here with Rafal Bergman, a Polish-born, London-based technology executive and serial entrepreneur with over 25 years of industry experience. Welcome to the podcast, Rafal.
Thank you, Jan. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Rafal, you're a fractional CTO and an AI strategy advisor, and you currently serve as the director of engineering at OpenAsset. I was wondering, how did you get here, right? You're living in London for like over 20 years. How did you get started in tech?
So I started as a software engineer after graduating from a university, and then went to work for companies and kind of smaller than larger than like IBM, this kind of global consultancies. But I realized very quickly that to do something really meaningful and interesting, it's best to run your own business. So I was attempting repeatedly to move to my own first software development agency. Back then, not much of it was about AI, if any. And then built a product which was big data analytics, real-time collection of data from many sensors at kind of national level scale. And AI analytics of that was a successful business.
That was GeoVS, right?
Yeah. Could have been better as well. Not as a product, but as an outcome for an entrepreneur, this could have been way better if I was a bit smarter and if I knew what I know now. And then many other tries, some better, some worse. And it all leads to here and now.
Got it. I mean, you skipped a bunch of things, right? I think GeoVS, if I remember correctly, was an exit, and then you had Codians and you had IQDev. At the beginning, you told me in private that there was a good story how you lost your first two investors. So, what happened there?
Well, it is all really boils down to not knowing things which, if you did know, and which is easy in the hindsight, would lead to better outcomes. And this is what my advisory is also about, like helping founders and managers, whoever it is, right? See the future.
Yeah.
Sort of anticipate what's behind the corner. So in case of the first investor, it was the quality of one part of the product, which was due to my leadership choices. And we had a demonstration, and it was not just investor, it was supposed to be first big customer. They were expected to buy a product for about £200,000, which back then was quite a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money.
Much less now than back then. But we were sabotaged by incumbents who were already in this customer.
Yeah.
And they tweaked their product, which our was relying on, in a way which made us look really bad, like delaying data by several minutes. But also we built a server in a way which led to a crash during the presentation. And we lost both the customer and the investment.
Yeah.
Because the customer was supposed to buy and invest another probably $500,000. It was a painful lesson, which led to much greater focus on the right engineering practices and the right leadership choices to enable truly outstanding product quality. It is a good outcome from all this story because when we are exiting this company later, we did manage to sell it because people doing due diligence on the customers, on the side of the people who were buying us, went to see our customers, and everybody said that our product is probably the only product which they saw, like a computer software, which virtually never crashes.
Yeah.
From very bad to better. The other investor is a different story. Maybe we should keep it for another time.
Sure. But I would love to understand this one a little bit more. So you said that the poor quality of leadership choices, right, led to the outcome here. Going back, what would you have done differently?
I would have hired another person. We were very small back then, and my choice at that time, we had some seed investment, but I wanted to stretch it for as long as possible to build a great product. And part of the product was truly outstanding, but there was one part where we needed somebody to look at it. And it was a few years after the financial crash, so the salaries were very low for some people. And I just went for somebody who was very cheap. And I did not listen to what people were telling me between the lines when I called his previous employers. And I decided to go with him and compromise on things such as technology stack. He was an expert in old-fashioned ANSI C.
Yeah.
And this was definitely a bad choice for this part of the product. But I decided that for speed purposes, we should go with it and then rewrite it to something more modern. But yeah, ANSI C is very difficult to work with in terms of engineering and managing memory, and this may lead to catastrophic crashes.
Yeah.
In the hindsight, I would definitely bet on quality over price over quantity. In employing people, we should always go for the best we can, because average people will not build great products. Great people will build incredible products.
I 100% agree there. So I'm curious, you said, okay, there were things that you've missed that you could have seen earlier if you've read more between the lines. I think this is something that is valuable for anyone, whether it's an engineering manager, a CTO, a new startup founder, right? So can you share some of the lessons that you learned when hiring people?
Sure. The most important is to find people who are not maybe expert in one thing and just that. You need to find people who are truly internally, intrinsically driven to learn, to grow, to adapt to the change. And especially nowadays, change is truly breakneck speed. And anybody who thinks they are like a ready kind of product and don't have to change and learn will be very quickly out of the game. You need to be truly hungry for learning, for growth, for expressing themselves through excellence of what they are doing. Maybe in the AI era, that's changing a little bit as well, and it's becoming an impediment if somebody is too attached to that, because we're building things slightly differently nowadays. That's probably the bigger stake. But I think the more important one was about myself and realizing that I'm not as clever as I think, in a sense that there are definitely blind spots and things in which I am weaker. And it took me quite a journey to self-reflect and realize that I need to work on those areas and invest in additional executive development courses on leadership, because human side, understanding other people's psychology, their drivers, their motivations, and is super important, because to truly be successful, you need to align your objectives with their objectives and let them attain their goals via working with you. And that's the real win-win, and when things get really strong.
I totally agree. So how do you filter for that? Are there special questions that you ask? Are there special exercises that you do with the people that you interview? How do you find these people that, as you say, want to learn, want to grow, want to adapt? And also, how do you filter for their motives so that you can align both of the journeys of the company and of the person that you're hiring?
Well, you can always ask some questions, but not every answer will be fully truthful during an interview. People are always thinking like, do I say what I actually did or what I should say, or do I try to guess what the other person wants to hear, right?
Yes.
You can build a sort of sense for that and be able to see whether, with some practice and sometimes, whether the person is truly honest. But, the biggest thing is the person's story. You can see that in things they did before, in how they worked in their career, unless you are employing a graduate, where they are coming from, how far they got with, what they had. And you can truly see outstanding people. The other thing which sometimes works is, and it did work for me in one of my first key hires, was a person had a choice. He could have gone to a much bigger company for more money and decided to stick with me and work in my startup. And he is still in this company now after 10 years since I exited.
Yeah. Did you know what drew him there? Because I think also something that many CTOs and managers can struggle with is attracting the right top talent. So what was it about the company that, made him like leave a better salary on the table and join you?
It's a great question. And I think, this was outstanding company by means, probably should be like one of the greatest in the UK, maybe by some ways, because we were doing something that nobody in the whole world was doing, and we're absolutely the best in it.
Yeah.
You can compare it with boring corporate job when you've got very narrowly defined, like that's your kind of role here. Back then, the process was like probably in all those companies, very old fashioned. You'd have like a whole hierarchy and people maybe smarter than you, maybe not, maybe more experienced would be designing you the choices they made, and you just have to implement those choices. In some companies, it was horrible. Like you'd get like the definition of a function and what you need to return, and you just write the body of the function. So it doesn't give you truly a way to express yourself and learn your craft, broader sense of that. And compare it with like becoming the key technical architect for a very big product in a small company, where you have to learn by doing. You will make mistakes, of course, but you will learn through those mistakes. And your pace of learning will be so far greater, and the breadth of the learning will be so far greater. After several years, so there's another one. Do you focus on short term, just salary, or do you focus on long-term prospects? After a few years doing this kind of much broader role, which forces you to learn more, you will be just at a different level. You can't compare that. So you can see what the person truly cares about. And it must be their choice to take the much, but after which they will, they will be like, I don't know, Navy SEALs after that, training and futures versus, comfortable life. And kind of which shows that maybe people are not that driven. Maybe they are a bit lazy and just want a quiet job.
Yes. And I think, at least from my perspective, there are sometimes engineers who are very good at an interview, but then you work with them and you're like, didn't fit just because they're maybe like smooth talkers or very good at selling themselves. So I think in some cases you also need to work with people for like, 1 to 3 months to really see who they are.
Oh, that is a real pain. Luckily, some of the multi-stage interviews help catch that up. It's not always easy. And nowadays we have all this kind of crap about different people doing your engineering work or like AI doing it for you. And I have people interviewing who are, in one interview recently, I could see in person's glasses a reflection of his screen, and he was definitely using AI to help us. It was bizarre.
I have had that too.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
What those guys think? Yeah, it was really funny because he would like freeze after a question for a bit. Of course, those chatbots are not that fast. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm really thinking deep," kind of. Incredible.
Yeah. Before you know it, you're gonna be talking to like an AI avatar who's like streaming real time responses.
Oh, I think the whole recruitment market's probably way of like having agents, but like AI agents, not in the sense of AI agents like nowadays in engineering, but agent representing you, like your kind of career manager.
Mm-hmm.
And that agent talking to agents of the company, recruiting, and then agreeing the terms of next steps or looking best fit opportunities for you. But that's a different story. So yeah, smooth talkers, you can sometimes catch them by asking the details. And as you drill down about something very specific that they claim they did, right? Or that they were responsible for more than they were. And as you drill down into maybe even kind of very deep detail, at some point they are losing the plot, right? Turns out they don't really know what they are saying. Engineering interviews as well, working with people in real time, not like giving them homework, but that's kind of crazy, right? Cloud Code would do that in a minute for them.
Yeah.
Asking them to solve a problem and design a system and talk you through their thinking and trade-offs and decisions in real time. That's very powerful because you kind of cannot fake it.
Did your expectations towards the people in your teams change now that AI is out in terms of either quality or quantity?
Definitely quality always rules, right?
Yeah.
I wonder about the composition of the team in terms of the seniority. That definitely changes. And I'm not fully sure where it leads. So, for example, juniors are in a very difficult place. Recent graduates are in a very difficult place. And companies don't just, pause hiring of juniors, but sometimes let juniors go, right? Everybody's betting on the seniors because a senior plus agentic coding harness experience in managing, swarms of AI agents can do a great job without, one person can do the job of the whole team and much faster than before. And this can go two ways, right? You can either do it very badly and it results in AI slop and wastage of huge money on the tokens, because AI, if you just leave it to its own devices at the moment, will make some questionable choices. And that's what would happen if a person doesn't have the experience. That's what would happen with junior who does not know what's important in making choices, making judgments about critical decisions when designing the system, when building the system.
Yeah. Let's flip the script. So let's say there's a junior, right? And what would you say if you had to go to him and be like, here's what you need to do as a junior engineer to get hired in the era of AI?
That's a great question. And I'd say you'd need to demonstrate that smooth talking is not enough for sure, right? You need to demonstrate both the understanding, the kind of depth of insight, probably beyond your level, right? And a great thing about it is you can work with AI to guide you on that as well, right? So you can start by, you should really do like a personal project, right? Or more, like 10, whatever, right? Maybe do a startup where it's like one person startup, costs you nothing. You don't need investors anymore. You can just build stuff. Choose something. Doesn't matter if it will be successful. First 10 times it won't be. Who cares, right? But you can build something and learn and repeat and fail fast and, iterate until success. So I'm not saying you would reach success, but I think offering your product in some way as a kind of paid solution gives you this real verification, right? Of is it valuable? How good it is? Will people want to pay for it? And you will learn a ton. And I think to be valuable as an engineer generally, it's not just about engineering. You really need to understand also how does your work fit into the overall business, right? How does it help the business achieve achieve its objectives? And you will be much more valuable if you do that. So going back to the point, you need to build and learn by building. And because iteration cycles with AI are so much faster, you can learn, I'd say within 3 to 6 months, you can learn as much as previously you would have learned in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
If you truly commit yourself to that. And then if you go to an interview and say look, I built all those projects. Here's my GitHub. Have a look. Here's a demo. I did it on my own. I learned on my own. And I learned engineering principles. I learned architectural principles. I learned how products scale or kind of fail when you try to scale. I did it all on my own. That will be super impressive, right? I would hire such a junior immediately.
Take it from Rafal. So juniors, if you're listening, you know what you have to do now. And to be honest, I think this is how it's always been. For example, in the past, when I was hiring for companies that I've been employed with, we were always also heavily focusing on the learning trajectory, right? Because there can be people with 2 years of experience who will get the position over someone with 5 years of experience simply if you show this learning curve that, you've been talking about here.
Exactly. And some people are just like, such fast learners. And this is a combination of, do they have better capacity or are they just much more driven and hungry?
Yeah.
Some people are truly impressive. And you know it when you see it.
Yes. So let's talk about CTO Zen, right? This is something where you help people in the era of AI. You help CTOs and managers. So what is it about?
Well, it's about navigating a kind of uncharted waters, right? But
Yeah.
And nobody knows where this AI kind of revolution leads and what the end state of that is. A lot of businesses are under immense pressure now. And we see big SaaS companies losing, 90% of the valuation. And who knows, if that's the end of it. Some people are catastrophizing about AI taking it, completely, and also all the jobs eventually, right? And there's a lot of like shadow IT, why would you buy SaaS product if you can build it on your own, which isn't a solid choice for a lot of companies and a lot of functions that you want to cover with the software. And then there's also a lot of opportunity, right? Because the balance of power between the incumbents who had like lots of people and you just couldn't get into the industry and compete with them, it is completely flipping. Now one person or few people with the right tools working in the right way can win this competition. So it's an opportunity to redefine who sits where and what's possible. But these are uncharted waters. So, nobody knows the map of the territory. Nobody knows what the destination is. We can only navigate within kind of limit of what we are seeing.
Yeah.
And some people can foresee the trends and where it leads and how to navigate and avoid obstacles and kind of use maybe there's a strong current which will make you go faster. I don't know if you are a fan of sailing and America's Cup and
Actually, I am. Yeah, I used to sail a lot when I was younger, and even also competed in Europe Cups and German Cups and stuff like that.
Wow, that's incredible. So I'm an avid sailor too, right?
Nice.
And I love the idea of knowing where there will be currents, where there will be better kind of wind, and be able to use it to your advantage to get ahead of the pack.
Yeah.
And not get stuck on some shallow, right?
Yeah.
So you need somebody who can help you navigate those waters. And this may mean very different things for different clients, for different companies. But CTO Zen is basically about maximizing the surface area of the opportunity and minimizing the risk in this AI era. And it's about AI transformation, about where are the best opportunities for the business to adopt AI, and where you can have opportunities by building AI products, where you should rather use existing technology. It's also about AI engineering, how you do it really well to give you this real leverage. So yeah, many different things, all about leadership and AI.
Got it. So if someone, is struggling with these, AI times, they should go to ctozen.com. What do? They do they book a free call with you? What's the call to action here for them?
Yeah, they can book a call with me, and I really love talking to people, so there's no pressure, no strings attached. I just want to talk to people, know what they are doing and building, and see whether maybe I could help.
Got it. Sweet. So one more thing of this podcast is we always have a question chain going on, right? And the previous guest, Eric Elliott, he asked you, or the question to pass on to you is, what is your biggest pain right now? Could be, obviously in the sense of the business, but what is your biggest problem right now that you're facing?
It's a great question. There are many, right? Because it's all about there's so many opportunities and so many pains. I'm working with a company that's building very deep AI products, absolutely best in their niche. The company is called OpenAsset. And it's working with AEC industry, which is architecture, engineering, construction, to build tools which help AEC marketers do great job. And we're building to very deep level of AI quality. But the competition is fierce, like competition from in the field, which can, like we mentioned, one person team can create a product, and suddenly you've got a lot of products competing with you. Other firms getting into different niches because they can, it's easier.
Yeah.
But also competition from the foundational models. Almost every product now is in SaaS space is at risk because people have to decide, is it worth buying a product, sometimes very expensive product, or do I just get a ChatGPT subscription and ask it to do this and that for me, right?
Yes.
So unless the product can truly demonstrate its value by being far better, that question might not go in your favor, right? So that's definitely a challenge. But it's also an opportunity.
100%, yeah. If you manage to distinguish yourself in this, era and in this market, then you're probably going to stay also for a lot longer. But yeah, nowadays SaaS businesses need to be AI resistant, and they also need to be resistant against the capabilities of the AI growing, right? So you need to supply something where the AI is probably more like 3 to 10-ish years away from just doing it.
Precisely.
Yeah. Sweet. So what would be the question that you want to pass on to the next guest?
Wow. Probably depends on what the profile of the next guest.
It's also an engineering leader.
Right. I'd say, how do you plan your workforce for the uncertain future?
Yeah.
How do you grow the next generation of engineers in the current circumstances?
Nice. I love it. That's a really good question. So we're at time now. Where can people find you if they want to hear more from you?
Yeah, just go to my website, Google Rafal Bergman or CTO Zen.com and speak to me. That will be fun.
Sweet. Sounds good. Thank you so much for jumping on the podcast, Rafal. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Jan. Huge pleasure.